guys, Jessica with Be Chic here. I am working on this cute little project. I picked up these little candles that have lids on them from the Dollar Tree. And I thought, what can I do with these? So I decided that I'm going to paint them and apply some molds to the top and kind of just make them a little bit more decorative. Surprisingly enough, they smell really great even though they come from the dollar store. So let's get started. So in this step, what I did is I took my little stipple brush and I placed it in the cornstarch and just moved it around and filled in all the crevices. Dump off a little bit of it so that it's not gooping. And then I'm using this brand right here of air hardening molding clay. It's not my favorite. It shrinks the least amount, but it's a little bit wet to use. So I've tried them all, and so I just kind of, this one's the least expensive, so it's what I'm using today. So and then what we do is we take it and roll it in a ball and kind of loosen it up a little bit. And then once you get going with that, you're just gonna press it down into the mold and not applying too much pressure. If you apply too much pressure, it will stick. And what you're seeing me do right now is kind of like remove the excess. So continue to do that. You don't wanna take too much off, but at the same time, you don't want it to be bunched up, because if it's bunched up right here, it's not gonna lay flat on the candle surface. So you see that I made a mess here. I'm just gonna take it and push it back into the mold and then continue to press it down so that it meets all the edges of the mold. And so you can see that you just keep pressing like this. And it's trying to lift up because that cornstarch is there. So when I release mine, what I do is I turn mine upside down and I pull away. And the first thing you're gonna see is that the mold came out super easy. And this one here is like a flower. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that, everybody? Hopefully you can see that. So then what we do is we take the candle and we're going to paint the entire surface. So I'm going to get set up for that one. So in this next step, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our E6000, my favorite glue. I use it for everything. It's like supersonic awesome. And right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and glue the top of this on, the mold onto the top of the lid. It doesn't take very much at all, and you wanna make sure that you get your lid on fast because the stuff continues to ooze out and then it makes a mess. So I'm placing my mold that I created on top here. And so this, I pressed down a little bit, and the good thing is that with this, you can kind of see here. So I really goop it up on the sides here, and what that does is it gives it that old layered look. And it takes kind of, I wouldn't say a lot of paint, but you're definitely not creating like a thin layer, you're creating a goopy thick layer. And just one second, let me get through this and I will show you. But you really want to dig your paint. I'm sorry guys, just not trying to drip this. You want to really build up. So on the sides here you can see, you see there where it's really goopy, and that's okay because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm going to dry it so that it's stuck and won't run anywhere else. If it drips off the sides, that's okay. Just make sure that you don't have actual like dripping marks, because that doesn't make for a smooth design. So I'm gonna put that down. I'm gonna turn this on. So sorry about the noise for a second. So you can see what I did is I took the paint and I painted the entire jar, and I actually went back in with a little bit of gold. I don't know if you can see that. And what I did was, where you guys can see it better, maybe over here, put a little bit more gold in there because I felt like I covered it up too much with the peach color. And so what I'm gonna do is take a little bit of, like, it's like a, I'm gonna say it's an antique white. It's not like a true white. I would say we made this more of like a khaki color with white. It's like a super white khaki. So what I'm doing is just gonna come back in and go back through the areas and paint over again. So this is like the third layer basically, but I just take from the outside and go to the inside because I don't want to get rid of all of that gold. But you can, I think, put too much on, but at the same time it's going to be preference. I personally like to see all the different colors, and I take a damp cloth and I go back and I kind of rub it back off. I don't know if you can see, so that some of those other colors just peek through and it doesn't look painted per se. It looks just old and dirty. I like that dirty look. So this is, that's probably too close, guys. I'm sorry again. So that's it. So you can see the peach, you can see the white, and you can see the gold in here. And of course in the after pictures, you'll be able to see all of the different colors and stuff. So I'll make sure to pay attention to show you guys that. So there's that. And then there's the final step, and that's going to be waxing. And there's two different steps to waxing on this kind of project. I personally like to clear wax first because I feel like the dark wax is too dark and it will kind of set into the paint. It's very, it's like a sponge, it just soaks up everything. So unless you like a super dark look, then you're gonna wanna do a clear wax first and then do your dark wax. So I'm gonna get some of this white color on here to kind of break up the peachy look. And then I'm going to get you guys set up to see how I wax. Okay, see you in a second. So what I did is I took a dry brush, and what I mean by dry is you dry your brush completely, even if it's a little bit damp, but you dry it off as much as you can. You dip it very lightly in your paint, and then you just take, waiting for it to focus, the light is so bright. Is that better? Okay. So see right here where their difference is that those are the high and low peaks of the design in it. So here you can see where it says Mason here. You just kind of brush across it this way so that the color underneath peeks through. And that is a dry brush technique. I happen to really like it, and it's really easy. It takes the least amount of paint. If you're not comfortable with it and you want to completely cover the whole thing, that's okay too. So what I did is I took a dry brush, and what I mean by dry is you dry your brush completely, even if it's a little bit damp, but you dry it off as much as you can. You dip it very lightly in your paint, and then you just take, waiting for it to focus, the light is so bright. Is that better? Okay. So see right here where their difference is that those are the high and low peaks of the design in it. So here you can see where it says Mason here. You just kind of brush across it this way so that the color underneath peeks through. And that is a dry brush technique. I happen to really like it, and it's really easy. It takes the least amount of paint. If you're not comfortable with it and you want to completely cover the whole thing, that's okay too. But what I really like, it adds that dimension to it, makes it continue to look old. So what I did is I went ahead and loaded it. This is my waxing brush, and I use this big gigantic thing for my big pieces of furniture. You don't have to have a big one or small one. The point is just to get some on it. Now you'll see when I start to wax it that the color comes out brighter or darker. That's okay. It does dry, and it's not going to be as bright as it dries. But I personally like it if it's a little bit darker, so it does really show all those dimensions. And again, this layer is just to seal it so that it doesn't come off, and allows us to use the dark wax and the correct way. And I am notorious for never cleaning my brushes, which a lot of you out there will be like, shame on you. But I'm looking for, usually, if I am looking for a really clean wax, then I will go ahead and prep my brushes for that. But I like, in the crevice of this, you can see there's like speckles from past paint jobs in it. And that's what I like. It gives it like a dingy look. And that's what I'm always going for. So the second layer after that, and you really don't have to wait. You can go on right after this. You might want to make sure that there's not any excess or too much. So that's what I do, guys. I don't know what you do, but here is the dark wax that I use, and this is the warm black. I like this company. It's called realmilkpaint.com. You can find it there. I found it in a local vintage store here, and I love this stuff. I think I paid like, it says $17 for the thing. I have used this on just about every project. I have done full tables, buffets, endless count pieces of furniture that I have done. I've used only this much, and there's more than half of it left. Lasts a long time. So some people will be like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to spend that much for one can of anything. But when you find your favorite, it's worth it. So here's what I do is I will start pretty heavy. Load a little more. I load a lot. You can see there's a lot on here. I load it and I make it super, super dirty. And I load the whole thing. I don't spare any. I go through the whole thing. And we're going to wipe it all back off. So I start with one layer, and then I start where I actually use a little bit of a damp cloth because it helps move it more. And you can see that I'm moving it back off. And this is going to allow all those layers to kind of pop back out. And it shows all of the details of the molds. So see where you couldn't see all the details, that's what it does. And this is why I like it. So I go around the whole can because I like that look. Some people like the monochromatic look of, the light colors on the light colors. I like to see all of the different layers pop out. So that's why I'm doing it this way. And it's just it seals it also. It's going to settle into my brush strokes. So the type of brush that you use is probably going to be important. I tend to use on smaller projects like this just flat craft brushes, but of course on my furniture I use my chalk brushes, my chalk paint brushes, because they are amazing, and you can get a lot of coverage with them. So it looks disgusting kind of right now. It's all yuckified. So I just take and rub it right back off, but be delicate because it's not fully dry. So it's more of like a rubbing rather than a scrubbing. So I'm kind of buffing it, I guess is what you would say. And if you want more, you just rub more off. So, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to get all of this off and then show you what it looks like. Okay guys, I'm back. So there's a lot of color in here. You can see that it's peachy with white. It really popped out. I really like how this turned out. And also because I kept the lid on, there's a pretty seamless line here. And so here's the lid, and you just screw it back on, and then you have the top of the design. So I will post some pictures with this so you can see how cute it is. And if you have any questions, let me know, guys. I'm more than happy to help in any way. If you have any questions or you want to know how I did this or where to buy supplies or how I got started with this. But one of the things that we're super proud of is we make all of our own paint here at Chiqued, and we're pretty happy with our line, and look forward to helping you with it if you should have any questions or want some of your own. Okay guys, have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you guys.